And
then
we're
no. Anime
and
we're
here for you.
Oh, you were doing the improv thing.
yes, and we're back. I was hoping.
Oh, okay.
That's our thing. We always say and we're back.
You didn't yes and his and.
I don't know how I survive on here.
Very carefully.
That's right.
That's how you survive. No. You survive by throwing yourself naked into this pool of writhing anime and hoping that there's a Killing Bites in there to bring the fun.
Yeah. I'm hoping when I'm searching for those little thingy, you throw those little thingies in the deep end of the pool and they kind of stand up.
Yep.
And you hope you grab one that's not actually an eel.
Yeah. Or King's Game's dick.
I'd grab it.
Okay.
Dudes, I'm pushing for season 2 when it comes out.
Hey, you can do what you want with your own life.
It's gonna be nope. It's gonna lock it. We're calling it right now. And Kingdom season 2 comes out, it's my lock.
So what do you think the possibility of an actual King's Game season 2 is?
Nothing.
Yeah, I hope. I'm hoping.
I don't know, man. Don't they have that live? No, they had a live action movie, right?
They've had so many things before this, and it's telling that we had never really heard of it
Right.
until this terrible anime.
Yep. Killing Bites was based on a manga, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
live action movie still in the works.
Yes, always. Ancient Magus Bride. Scarlett Johansson plays Chisei because that's Hollywood's only idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elias played by, I'm going to say, Liam Neeson. He's all CGI, voiced by Liam Neeson.
I was thinking you get Idris Elba.
Why did I also think of Idris Elba?
Yeah, dude.
Because that's the word association. I could say Palestine. Idris Elba! Am I wrong?
Okay. So, this episode was
This was kind of not I don't know.
it was up and down.
Yeah.
It was. All right.
So let's talk about Shannon choking the life out of.
Can we just talk about that? Because that is the only part that, that's the only time during this entire show I had to, I watched these with someone, and I looked over at her, and I was like, what? That just happened? Really? I've never been, what the fuck at this show, and that was the first time it ever happened.
The show has played the I hate you and I'm going to try to kill you. Just kidding. I was trying to teach you a lesson about life and shit.
Yeah, this is the
It's
most
played that
clumsy
card
way.
way too often, and
Yeah. And it tried to add that extra element of danger by having her actually say, I despise you. To
Yeah,
make you,
right?
In that moment, I believed it. I was like, oh shit, she wants to kill Chisei. And I'm like, how is she going to get out of this one? So when that moment of, no, actually, I was trying to make you actually fear for your, want to live because otherwise you weren't going to heal, I was like,
Here's the thing. I get what it's trying to say, but it is just in the most clumsy way. If there's something that can be said for someone that has had to deal with, suicidal ideation and depression and kind of shit, being at the lowest of the low and then realizing, no, I don't actually want that. There is a lot of value in that. That is something that can be transformative and actually a healing thing. Not in this, though. You don't try to fucking kill somebody as your way to say, don't you want to live now? And then try to play it off like it was actually good intent. And especially with the I despise you line, that just kind of isn't even resolved at all. And it just... Man.
Also coming right here in Chisei's development, too. It's no, she just spent the last, 5 episodes learning about her self-worth and...
I thought we had that resolved with Nevin.
Yeah. No, we did it. We're good.
Yeah.
Having to dial her character back 3 steps. Oh, her... this is writing... This is a very thin line between, her wounds didn't heal until she decided to live, and what's her fuck from Star Wars, blanking on her name because she was such a non-entity, Anakin's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Padme.
Yeah. Padme. She lost her will to live.
Yeah.
So she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real bad storytelling.
Yeah,
And that's not something I'm used to saying about this show.
Yeah, no. Again,
That's why it's so disappointing. Sorry, I keep it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I have a tendency to cut in. I didn't know how to feel about the scene, because here's the thing. After the scene was done and we got the idea of like, hey, so as a doctor, sometimes I've got to do crazy things to help my patients. I'm like, there's a part of me that kind of likes the idea of like, no, you don't play by the normal rules in this world. Sometimes you've got to go crazy. But again, it's just really clumsily done. I don't dislike the concept of this pushing her to her limit to force a response. But did we need that? Yeah, you're right. We did just get a story about her. Like, look, it was obvious that Nebin, that thing with Nebin didn't fix everything. But it should have, like, we shouldn't have returned to this like this, not this quickly. And maybe you could say, oh, well, without Nebin, she would have died. But that's not really well stated by the show either. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah,
It didn't tell us anything new about the characters. It just kind of happened.
Also, I feel like Shannon and Shanohana are just rip-offs of Tatiana and Oberon. Like in terms of their dynamic.
I kind of got that with him just being the little goofball and these more serious.
No,
I suppose so.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it wouldn't bother me if they weren't right next to each other.
Yeah.
Like you have Oberon and Titania, the composed, beautiful woman, and the basically puppy dog of a dude, with the composed woman and a literal puppy dog of a man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Dog centaur.
Yeah. By the way, dog centaur?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm like, okay,
that's
cool.
fine.
That's neat. I like that. Let's continue to get crazy with like, because all the centaurs are usually hoofed creatures.
Yeah.
No, this time we got a like fucking wolf. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah. All the shit, again, this is where its strengths of the show are the setting and like making everything feel alive and that there's something there, which is why the fucking shit with Silky like worked so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that. I was like, okay, I can totally buy all this. And it was really well told.
Yeah. Stuff with Silky, it was legit good.
Yeah.
Like it's soft, it's somber, it's quiet. There are barely any words. And we get, man, the little freaking, what's his face? The Guardian dude. Spriggan.
Yeah.
God, I love Spriggan as a character. He's the guy who's like, no, that guy's a fucking bad guy and you shouldn't let him live here. What are you talking about? Like,
he's just so serious all the time.
Yeah, and just I love that Titania, like the very beginning when he's there, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Titania's like, "Shut up, it's fine, I got it."
But then in the same breath in that same episode, we see him help her, and he's like, "It is my job to help the downtrodden," and I'm like, Spriggan, you're not just an asshole. You're actually a really good guy. And I don't know. I loved that.
Yeah, well, and that makes his opposition to Elias feel more credible. It's not just that he's this grouchy guy who hates everything. It's like, no, he likes people. He likes helping people. He doesn't like Elias, and we still don't really know why. And I want to know why.
Yeah, there's a lot of you get more hints that he is this like this blight or I don't know what the word is, like not unfulfilled creation. Like there's something went wrong with him. As they're walking through the entrance to the fairy world, and you just see all these little shitheads, like just little dudes with like eyeballs, and just all eyeing him, going like, "Oh, it's the failure! Oh, I can't believe it! It's the beast!
It's the half baked."
Yeah.
Yep.
and then meanwhile they're like, "Oh, but she said, yeah, we want all up in that." And then freaking man, Elias just steps on one. He's like,
I know. It's like, does Oberon like not have a problem with that? I mean, he says like, "Hey, it's cool," but I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. This episode dropped some interesting hints. Like, we get a little more of, we get Titania and Elias talking about what to do with Chisei, and this is kind of carrying through that same thread where Elias is making decisions for Chisei that, like, maybe they are the best thing, but he's not really sharing his reasons in a satisfying way, because Titania's saying, like, hey, we learn time moves faster or more slowly, moves differently in Fairyland. Like, they go in and they come out. They've been in there subjectively for like a day. But for Silky, who's been in the human world this whole time, it's been a few months. It's winter now by the time they come back.
We don't know actually how long they were in there. It might have been a day. It might have been a week. Because there were the wounds that they had to deal with. But yeah, it was...
It seemed like the wounds, like, once she accepted her self-worth, blah, blah, they were just kind of like, nope, wounds better. So yeah, it felt like, I don't know, maybe a day, maybe a couple hours, maybe, but yeah, I got no inkling that it was anywhere near longer than a week. They didn't spend a night there. They didn't sleep while they were there.
No.
Yeah.
They just seemed like an evening stroll. But
But-
again,
But yeah, so since time moves differently there, Titania's like, well, she'll live longer if she's here.
Yeah.
And Elias's response is not, no, I'll fix that, I'll figure it out. No, I'll take care of her. It's just, no, I need her in the human world because her value to me is giving me the human perspective. And living in fairyland, I don't get that from her. It's like, okay, but what about her? What about all that talk about, no, I'm going to find a way for you to live? Like, are you actually doing that? Because we haven't heard much about that lately. Like, your one idea, hey, here's this ring that'll help you control, like, and he pitched that as, this is a short-term solution while I figure something else out. That short-term solution seems to be failing.
yeah.
If he's got a longer-term plan, he hasn't shared it yet.
And he hasn't even shared that he's working on it. That's yeah. I don't know. I've been that guy. I've basically been the guy who's mostly defended Elias because I don't think there are too many things. Like, I do think he's trying his best, but yeah, that was really awkward where Chisei didn't even get a say in that decision. That really...
it's not that I think that he's like, well, no, I'm just going to tell her I'm working on this, but fuck her, I don't care. Obviously, that's not the case. But he's not being open with her or anyone, and I think that is the next step that I want to see him take on his journey.
Yeah. Well. Oh, also, if we for a small bit, the vampire was back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the Silky flashback.
Yeah.
Just a cameo. It was neat to see her there.
Also, I'd like to point out that I'm really glad that while she is okay by the end of the episode, the whole story with Joseph,
Yeah.
and the vampire.
Oh, no, Joel.
Joel. Yeah, Joel.
Yeah,
Because-
Joseph's a different guy.
Yeah. The whole story with Joel and the vampire added up to something in terms of like, well, its story didn't necessarily need to be ended. At least in the process of that story, something important did happen to Chisei in that, oh yeah, no, that ring's not going to work. Like, that introduced an element of that ring is now gone. I'm hoping that actually speeds up the need to, we need to figure out what we're going to do with you or you're just going to die. Because that wasn't even supposed to be that, like, stressful of an activity. That almost killed her. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Elias wasn't like telling her, hey, watch out, this is fucking dangerous. You're going to use so much magic. She announces her intention to do it, and he's like, okay.
yeah, this is a big deal. I'm hoping it continues to be. I hope they don't try and just go back to the status quo after this, because that would kind of suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that status quo. It's real fun. We've gotten a lot of that status quo.
Agreed.
All right. Is that all about Magus?
What's this?
I was trying to get Kieran's attention to get him to lower his mic just a bit.
Why does it matter? Nobody's
see your
watching
mouth.
this. Nobody's watching this. They're listening to it
Those pretty white.
on their Zune in their
In space.
Geo.
Okay.
In space with their planet dad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's Ancient Magus Bride. I like the changeling stuff with Shannon and Shanahan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, huh?
That's another one of those like pieces of folklore that can send you on a deep wiki dive if you don't already know about it. I liked that it was just kind of brought up and like yeah, that's something that in folklore is like this horrible, disturbing, like, oh no, my child's not really my child, it's this horrible alien thing. And here it's just like, yeah, I don't know, I lived as a human for like 50 years and that was fun and now I'm doing this. This is my next thing. Yeah, I don't no hard feelings about it. I got to live as a human. That was neat.
Is that what the What's Her Face movie is about? Fuck. Tomb Raider,
Yes.
Brad Pitt, wife. What the fuck's her name? You're laughing, you know her.
Angelina
goddamn-
Jolie.
Yeah, Angelina Jolie. She was in this fucking movie called Changeling, and it was about like some baby. Did you see it?
Probably. I haven't seen
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, everybody watched it and was like, "Why the fuck? It looks dumb." Anyway.
It sounds dumb.
Yeah, it sounds dumb.
It's an Angelina Jolie movie. It's probably dumb.
Yeah, accurate.
I mean, I like Angelina Jolie, but
Let's talk about a place further than the universe.
Let's.
You don't want to talk about the opening and ending?
The what?
Nope.
Research I did.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Next time.
Yeah, next
week,
time we'll do it.
Maybe we'll talk about openings and endings. Right now, see, I didn't watch openings and endings with that in mind, so I wouldn't have much to talk about at this point.
yeah.
Yep. A place further than the universe.
This is easily I'm really glad we started the show, you guys. I'm really real glad we started the show.
Yeah. Tyler,
Because-
thanks for saving us.
Yes, thank you, Tyler. Like the moment I saw Madhouse on it, I was already
Yeah.
curious. Like that's one of those things where if you see Madhouse on it, even if it's bad, it's probably still watchable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is not bad. It's I have criticisms. I think let's do the compliment sandwich. Let's talk about what's good about it. These four girls are distinct personalities.
Yep.
They're distinct designs, which lots of slice of life fucks up real bad because guess what? When in animation, people with dark straight hair can be hard to tell apart.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
why anime. That's why anime gives different characters odd
crazy
colored hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually exactly why.
Yeah, but I can, they say going back to Looney Tunes, the rule of thumb of designing animated characters is you should be able to tell them apart easily by silhouette.
Yeah.
And I have not run this experiment, but I bet I could with these four girls.
Probably.
Yep. It touches on, like, it's fun. There's a joy to it. It also dabbles in some darker stuff. Like, that makes me think, like, yeah, there's going to be some thematic weight here eventually. I'm more than willing to wait for it, but Shirise, the one who really wants to go to Antarctica because her mom was lost there, girl, your mom's dead.
Yeah.
She's not, you're not going to find her chilling in Antarctica like, oh, cool. This was 3 years ago she disappeared. She dead.
Yeah,
though.
she went to Outpost 31, and then nobody heard from her.
I don't know. I could just see it just because of this nature of show that she's fine, and I will not enjoy that. But if I'm having fun along the way, I'll give it enough leeway, even if that doesn't turn out to be the case. I want her to be dead because that's like the more compelling one. That's the more interesting story to me.
I fully expect that by the end of this show, I will have cried at least twice.
I hope so. I want it to be more than just goofs and gaffs on the way to Antarctica. But if that's all it is still doing that just fine for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And I like that it's reasonably grounded in its, like you say, high school girls going to Antarctica, and I envision like, oh, this is crazy, like, crazy, wacky fun times. Look at this. Oh, now they're in chibi mode. Herp derp. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, this is like, let's go step by step. How could we fulfill this premise in a believable way?
We need to get money. We need to work part-time jobs, but we got to find a place that's, hiring people under 18. How are we going to do that? Like it goes into a lot of the nitty-gritty that I wasn't expecting, and I really appreciated that.
It allows for its unbelievable coincidence, but scarcely. Like,
Yeah.
there's a idol. She's not an idol. No, she's an idol.
She's
but
like a
she's also,
streamer.
yeah, she's like a TV star basically, and that is like a little bit unbelievable, just a little bit. But considering what Japan has been doing for the last 20 years, it's not that far out.
I totally buy it. That didn't seem like out of nowhere at all to
Yeah,
me.
it's this funding-starved expedition that's like, how do we drum up a bunch of publicity and get a lot of interest in us going to fucking Antarctica?
Yeah,
put a hot girl on the cover.
The more I think about it, I didn't think about it much at the time. I went back to it and I thought, how believable is that? But now that you've pointed it out, yeah, I guess there really was no problem with it in the first place. I just kind of thought, like, there's their meal ticket right there. Boom.
Yep.
It just happens to be a girl their age. But yeah, no, I can.
Yeah. I mean, you're right that it's a bit of a coincidence, but it's one that I'm more than willing to go with.
And Shiraishi is a character that, while the least of the the pronounced out of all of them, is probably one of the deepest out of all of them. Because that scene where she finally makes a couple of friends in high school, and the first thing they ask for is a picture with her.
Oh yeah.
And the moment she turns them down, they just walk away.
Okay.
And that scene where she's online, and then those two left the group, and she realizes, like, I really have nobody left. I was fucking gutted.
Yep.
I know, like, that is a hard scene to watch. It's sad. And out of, like, I don't know, either her or Shirase are my favorite characters in the show. Like, Antarctica herself.
I like Genki-chan a lot.
I mean, how could you
Yeah.
not? And of course, you have Mako Mako and Shoku from fucking Kill la Kill as the main
Yeah,
character.
exactly.
But yeah, Genki-chan, she, like, the thing I like about her is that she's not just the wacky comic relief. Like, she's got some depth to her. Like, she's a prodigy.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, oh yeah, I just went to college. I'm not in high school. I just want to make everybody that didn't work their ass off feel bad. I'm like, hey, good on you.
It's good to see this character, like, basically. It's kind of interesting because she actually wrestles away the control of things from Shirase, but it's a good move because they have Shirase. So Shirase is a fascinating character because when you're first introduced to her, you might be given this idea that she's, like, got little emotion or that she's very stoic. Oh, God, no. She's not even close. She just has this drive that is so fiery inside of her that she's completely focused and single-minded on one thing. And that makes her a great character to watch, especially when she has other people to help balance her out and make sure she doesn't screw everything up. The scene where she brings the main character the same job ad that she had brought her other friend and then has to secondhand inform her, like, actually, no, it's a bad idea. You're pretty naive too, aren't you?
Yeah, so this is this job application, by the way. Oh, it's easy. Look, the pay's real good, and all you have to do is, like, I don't know, take walks with boys or something. Yeah, that's not what this is. And I do like that naivete, too. Like, so many shows like this about high school girls have them either acting, like, way too sexual for their, like, yeah, she...
She tries to seduce the guys.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
she
seeing them
sends-
being clumsily. Oh man.
Yeah, like they've got this idea, they vaguely know, like, guys really like high school girls, we've got something they want, maybe we can use this. That's as far as they're able to conceive of this. They, like, shove Genki Girl out there, and she does this, like, yeah, like, pin up. She looks like Bugs Bunny in drag,
Yeah.
trying to... This is not played for fan service.
Yeah.
This is played for, look how little idea these girls have about how to use their own sexuality. That makes it, like, that felt believable. I really like that. It tries to stay on the right side of that line and largely does. Every once in a while, it takes a little toe on the wrong side of that line. Well, who's got the biggest boobs? Boing.
To be fair, that did not come off as gross to me, if only because I have met girls. They will talk about their boobs. Unlike in anime, though, they don't just go around grabbing and fondling them. And that's not what happened here. They were like, she's got the biggest boobs. She should go out there. Completely ignoring the fact that, no, Shirase has no purpose being out there. It's a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea in the first place.
That another thing about later in that same scene when they're having a just hilarious chase sequence through the streets.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, like, I half expected them to start doing the, like, hallway scene
I know,
where
right?
they
Some Scooby-Doo shit.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, super well done. And they do this over and over, where they will get into the main character's internal monologue, and she'll start talking about, oh, I feel the pulsing of my youth. No, fuck you. No person in high school thinks about, oh, this is my youth surging.
I'm
like,
glad you mentioned that because I also felt a little off put by that.
Yeah, okay. I actually have a response to that. So I might have done a little bit of pre-gaming last night because I ended up watching this with somebody. He brought that up too. This is very Japanese. Like, you are not culturally, this is not as relevant to us because, and this is something I had to mention to him. In Japan, high school is your last hurrah. In America, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, college is kind of the last hurrah for us in a certain way. But even then, in America, changing careers is something that you can kind of do. It's difficult, and not everybody can do it. Not everybody is smart or driven enough to do it, but you can.
Yeah.
In Japan, though, no. Once you're in college, congratulations, you are now part of the machine. You are going to select the career that you want, and then you are going to go into that career, and it is done. And if you better have picked the right career for you, because if you didn't, well, you're not getting out of it, or you're just...
See, you're not wrong that there's a different cultural context there. At the same time, when I was in college, at no point did my internal monologue say, oh, I am experiencing the pulsing of my youth. Look at me binge drinking. I was just doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is this... I'm going to use the word fetishization.
Yeah.
I want to make it known that I'm not talking about sexual fetishization,
totally.
but yeah, it is fetishizing this youthful energy in a way that feels artificial and forced.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's because Japan does that.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
Yeah, and that's,
And that's okay.
I know Japan does it. It's bad.
Well, yes, yeah, I'm not going
It's
to...
bad storytelling. It's bad characterization. It doesn't ruin the episode. It's just annoying every time it happens.
Yeah, well, she brings it up a lot because, and this is, you were tying it into like she always wanted to do these things, and kind of, yeah, this whole entire plot starts because she finds a diary that she was writing in junior high of what she wanted to do in high school, and that was like, yeah, go out there and live your youth. Because that's a big, that's a big thing for kids. If you'll notice that, in Naruto, fucking Guy Sensei goes on about the fire of youth all the time.
Yeah, well, and that right there, that's the problem. It makes sense for Guy Sensei to do that because he is older looking back on how
hey,
I would have...
kids, you better grab it now because I didn't. I had no idea that this was so cool. I have now ruminated and realized what I missed.
Yeah, so
it is so rare for a kid to self-idealize that.
So this is a writer putting their adult ideas
Yes.
into this younger character in a way that, again...
did not feel like her at all.
Yeah, doesn't
Totally
feel
agree.
organic.
I guess I ultimately disagree because looking at the way that her character is written, she is afraid at this point that she's not going to have her youth because she's 16 and look at all these things she hasn't done. She's afraid that if she does not take this chance that she'll have wasted it. And I get that. Maybe it is overly stated. Maybe it doesn't need to be said as much. And in that scene, even I was like, yes, you're a youth girl. We understand. But it felt believable to me within the context of that character specifically.
Maybe we hate it because we're old.
Eh.
No.
I just turned 31 2 days ago, so...
As the youngest person in this group, I love it.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Our cameraman likes it, so the both of you are wrong.
Yeah, no.
Speaking of our cameraman, he's
How
holding up the thing
old
to
are
do.
you?
I'm going to be 24 next month.
Okay, I'm 26. We're not that far apart. You just love trash.
Lifetime
No,
between
you
us.
just went through the last 2 years. Now everything's fucked.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
So,
No, yeah, 24 to 26. Oh, it's a hellscape.
I also
Don't do
never
it.
graduated high school, so I'm perpetually in their state.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I got my GED. Does that count? I hope it counts.
it's good enough.
Let's take this break.
Snap board. One thing that I'm sort of wondering about this is right now, this desire to go to Antarctica, this is all coming from the girls. I like that. They're facing a lot of obstacles, a lot of people who are telling them, no, you can't do this. I like that. That's fine. I think that makes sense because that's mostly coming from the Shirase, Antarctica. Like, the reason why she wants to go to Antarctica is kind of unhealthy. She wants to not admit her mom is dead. This is an obsession for her. It's played real low key so far, which is fine. But like when the older women I say older, they're probably in their mid-20s, the adult professional women in the expedition are discouraging her, it's not because they're saying, go away, kid, you bother me. It's because they have her best interests at heart.
Yeah.
The other girls in the group now, their interest is healthier. They want to do something.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's Antarctica specifically is just because they've made this friend and they want to help her out. And at the same time, like, yeah, that sounds fucking dope. Let's go. Let's see some fucking penguins.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle to do something cool.
Yeah. I imagine, like, if I'd been that motivated about anything in high school, maybe this is just my middle-class ass privilege talking. I don't know if I would have made it to Antarctica, but there would have been people helping me and encouraging me and saying, my God, a high schooler who cares about something? Yeah, we're gonna start up an Antarctica club for you, and we're gonna take you on a field trip to a museum. We're gonna help you. I wonder if they're ever gonna get that. Or if it's going to be a constant uphill battle. I don't know if that would make it better or worse from a storytelling perspective. It's just something I wonder about.
I think ultimately they're already on their way now. I think the next step of the process is getting ready to do this. Because what they're about to do is something that full-grown men have trouble with. These are 4 girls who are about to go to the most uninhabitable place on Earth.
Yeah, the firmament. So I hope I hope it ends with them falling off the flat Earth. That's what I want so bad.
They're gonna get there and find out the mom fell off the flat Earth the moment she.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be like, oh yeah, she's at post 31. Where'd it go? I don't know. We can't get there. Yep, that's what I want.
I believe it was Outpost 31. I'm making a Thing reference.
I saw it. I was
13?
real drunk.
I saw it when I was like 6. I don't remember it. I just remember being scared.
I know it's a classic. I fell asleep.
Dude, it was so long ago. We can't watch all the classics.
I respect
yeah.
Carpenter. He's cool. Cool dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm psyched for the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm also glad that I have another anime that starts earlier in the week than Friday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This one.
But yeah, by the way,
much appreciated.
if we haven't made this apparent, or if you haven't noticed while watching along, yeah, all of the anime start on Friday through Sunday, which means
Yep, that's our weekends now.
Yep. But this one's on Tuesday, so.
Yeah, so
Yay.
it gives us something we can pregame a little bit. Speaking of pregaming, let's, can we just take a moment to sharpen our fucking knives for Hakyu, Hoshin, Engi?
What the
how?
hell? What? I don't know what to say, and I don't know where to go.
I really like the cyborg human's design. I actually really like it. I just
This has a lot of I've seen a lot of the character design just because they're in the game that I'm Jump Ultimate Stars, by the way. So they're in that game, so I know what they look like. Well, they look cool. Oh man, I can't wait to learn more about them. I can't learn shit because I only get 30 minutes of actually digestible shit before I get the next scene, or 30 seconds. Sorry, the next scene.
Yeah, take everything we said last episode and then put it on this one because it's all the same problems, just repeated.
Yeah.
I honestly, this show is a nothing. It is a nothing.
It's impenetrable. I guess if you've read the manga, it would be a lot easier. This feels like Super Kai. This is like Hoshin Engi double Kai. Holy fuck.
Yeah. I can't, even if you're a manga fan, how do you get enjoyment out of this?
Yeah.
They're not.
I don't know. I mean, the backgrounds look cool. I can't imagine you gain anything else. They have that teaser at the beginning, which I imagine is for the fans of hey, you guys know that big fight, our Goku Frieza fight? Here it is. We see Taikobo fighting the other dude who we know will somehow turn into Darth Vader. That's it. Cool. We're going to tease that and then brush past everything that would help a newcomer get invested into that fight. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I don't understand who this is for. Because, if you like the manga, what possible good could you be getting out of watching that in fast forward?
Yeah.
It's terrible, it's bad, and it's not for anybody.
Yep.
Boom.
Done.
Junji Ito Collection.
Yes.
It's terrible, it's bad, it's not for anybody.
I think this is affected by the same problems that you bring up. I totally agree that this is not gaining a lot from its adaptation. That said, I think out of everything this season, grading on a curve, that this is definitely more interesting and palatable to me, and just inherently being an anthology has me more interested to check out the next thing.
I dislike it. And here's the reason. I now want to go read the manga because the more I watch this, the more these stories are being ruined for me.
Okay.
The more I watch this, the more I realize, oh wow, if I had read that, I might have actually enjoyed it, instead of here, where it was kind of interesting. And that's why I can't recommend this show. I'm like, so...
So is any new episode going to change your mind?
Unless they suddenly change all of their music,
They don't like the music.
change the art and animation style, and learn how to make a goddamn an actual storyboard that effectively shows the horror.
What do you dislike about the art? Because I think it's fine.
It's one of the problems I find with the art is that they're trying to one-for-one adapt a lot of the manga. You can't do that because with the motion of these characters, with the changes from scene to scene, it works well in the manga because you're reading from page to page and it's filling in voices, atmosphere, color as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's all this color here. This wasn't made for color. Specifically wasn't made for color because it uses its black and whites to help set a different sort of atmosphere. So you cannot do this one for one. You can't. I will fight you if you say that you can do this manga specifically one for one, because it's depending on the human brain to fill in, again, a lot of the different elements going on here.
I think I might have the opposite problem where the color palette is so muted that...
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's also a problem.
But yeah, so there's no contrast between everyday daily life and now the horror is happening. It just goes from slightly lighter gray to slightly darker gray.
That's
Yes.
kind of the thing, though, about his stories. Everything's a horror day. It's like that is kind of his motif, is that it's never, things aren't ever positive and then take a turn for the horror. It is always bad to varying degrees of bad.
I did want to bring up something that we talked about last week, where you were saying that the greatest horror for you is coming in to realize that everybody's wearing their underwear on their head, or
Yeah.
like everybody else is acting in this illogical manner that you can't wrap your head around.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
But you can't escape the sneaking suspicion that it's not them, it's you,
Yeah.
that you're the crazy one. Sports.
Ooh, yeah.
I live that horror every
cosmic
day.
horror. Yeah, that is cosmic
Yeah,
horror.
if anybody who follows my Twitter will have seen that I went on a mad rampage trying to understand what people get out of following sports teams, and nobody was able to satisfactorily explain it to me, and maybe that's unrealistic to ask over Twitter. I was reading scientific research papers on the psychology of this to try and wrap my head around it. And I'm still like, no, I don't know. How do you do this? How do you identify with overpaid strangers? I don't. I want to understand, and I don't.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, how do people identify with us?
I don't know what check you're seeing, dude.
I was joking. I was making a joke.
So, that said, like you mentioned sports though, as like that's kind of what he does. Is like the everyday is alien. Like it is supposed to be muted. That is the intent. So I'm not opposed to that. Like I liked the fog in the first part. I liked how everything seemed really drab because that's what he goes for on the page anyway.
Well, okay. When you say the fog, are you also talking about that black bullshit that?
No, not the black bullshit. I mean,
was so that.
No, that was stupid.
That was awful.
Yeah, and that was emblematic of the problem I had at the beginning, where he was when the guy like dissolved into dust, and they used this really shitty composite effect.
Yep.
And I was just like, that ruined it for me. But overall, I think this is doing the best it can. But where that ends up for you is how much you care about the source material, I guess, and how much you are interested in seeing it done this way. I'm interested enough because I've read a few of them, and some that I haven't. This is going to be like, okay, cool, I get what that is. I'll read the manga version of it now. But
yeah, it didn't help that storytelling-wise, this part one of this with the crossroads was just like poorly told, poorly structured. Like there's unconventional narrative, and then there's like, no, you're spending too much time reiterating the same plot points. We get it. Move on.
Which apparently, and I didn't mean to read the comments, but apparently, no, it might have been from something else. Apparently, like a major important part was cut out. I don't know. I don't know if it would have made it better.
Yeah.
Oh, the Crossroads story?
Yeah.
Mm.
Or it might have actually been from last week's instead. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
But the point is that but they might be changing shit. So it's not 1-to-1 if they're changing stuff. So I don't know.
well, again, it's not changing. It's just cutting things out,
Yeah.
which is,
A change.
I
Yeah.
mean, okay, yeah, that's. Sorry, when I think of a change, I think of them changing something to another thing instead of just cutting.
Yeah, it's another
Yeah,
thing
that is
minus,
another kind of
minus the
change.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think your investment in this is going to come from do you tolerate this kind of thing in the first place in anime form, which I find it really hard for anime horror to be ever effective. It seems like one of the worst mediums to do horror.
Yeah. But, we talk about where's the fun. And last episode, there was some fun to
Yeah,
be
there was
found
fun,
there.
yeah.
Like, hey, look at this creepy lady, and nobody understands how creepy this is. That's a fun idea.
You know what? I laughed at those parts.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't supposed to, but at least I was entertained.
Yeah. Like, if this can give me more like that, then there might be a place for it on this list. But,
I didn't think the slug stuff was any good at all.
I had fun with it.
yeah, that was, again, like, on paper, an interesting, weird, dumb, creepy idea that, if handled slightly differently, maybe. It also didn't help that I could not watch that without thinking, eat slugs, Malfoy! Only 90s kids will, I don't know, when did Harry Potter come out?
Only 90 kids.
Only 90 kids. 89 now. One of them just died.
Oh,
That's
yep.
a creepy idea. Who's next? Could be you. Or it could be Kokkoku.
That could die.
That's next on this list.
So, everything interesting about this show, to me, happens, and it's like done. It's like a blink, and it's gone. Most of this show loves spending its time walking and talking. And the coolest part of this episode to me was her hiding in the car that like somebody was frozen in. Because I'm like, yes, do anything with your environment. Because right now, as this story is being told, the environment doesn't matter. This could be taking place in a hustle-bustle city, and we're dealing with like a cult trying to capture this family, and it wouldn't be any different.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like with the hustle and bustle, there'd be more ability to get help. Here, they're helpless. They have no backup. It is just them running from these people.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be like Gantz style, where they're invisible and they don't know why. It doesn't need to be time is stopped in particular.
That's what I
causing it.
mean. It's like the mechanism that is time being stopped to get our backdrop has done nothing with that amazing idea. We got it in the first episode when it stopped, and then now we have these heralds. Whatever. That's not anything about stopped time. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I want to see them playing more with the rules of this world.
Yeah.
Like the herald, you're not allowed to kill people who are stuck in time. If you
Cool.
do, the herald will show up and kill you. Okay, that's a cool starting point. Hey, what if Scott was stopped in time, what if I put an anvil over his head and walk away so that as soon as time unstops, it crushes him? Does that count? Will the herald stop me from doing that? I don't know. Let's find out.
I was actually curious about that myself. I was asking that exact same question, just with a different idea of, okay, let's pick them up and then put them over a ravine. What happens then?
Like, that's something that Death Note did
Yeah.
so well, is taking these seemingly simple rules and seeing, okay, if we push this to their farthest logical extent, what happens? I would love to see this show do that. It's not really doing it right now.
Death Note actually did a lot of things right. Like, in terms of, like, playing with rules and characters and ideas.
And that's what I kind of got. Maybe that was just mistaken first impression, but I did get a lot of that from that first episode where I was like, okay, so we're on a course to have this kooky premise, and we're going to see how far this can go, because they really play it up in the first episode, and then now they haven't done anything with it other than Grandpa can teleport.
Remember when we were a little bit worried they'd get too kooky? Like, they introduced, like, too crazy of ideas?
Yeah, now I want it.
Yeah, no, I'm on board. Let's get crazy.
I liked Brother Tsubasa and Nephew Makoto doing hijinks.
Yeah.
It had some goofy music. It wasn't, like, brilliant, but it injected a sense of fun that this is sorely needing. That might be low standards talking.
I I actually wanted him back. I wanted the kid back and his brother. I like the kid. The brother is just wrecking this for me. He is not an interesting character. He's not funny. He's got nothing redeeming about him. Pairing him up with Makoto has only made that worse, because Makoto can't look out for this kid and someone needs to, because the kid actually just took to this. He's like, this is awesome. And the first thing he does, he grabs some juice and he's like, yeah! And I'm like, good.
Oh,
like,
I wanted that clip of Picard drawing the smiley face in the cloud so bad right there.
but,
Only 88 kids will know what I'm talking about.
Uh-oh. Yeah, but that's the moment Makoto came back, which, by the way, it's interesting. Little plot point there. These fucking, what are they called? The jellyfish.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're only going to this family.
Yep.
That's interesting. That's curious to me, which makes me think or wonder if there's something about this bloodline specifically that ties them into this whole concept.
Well, we saw at in the beginning of the episode that the main character now has oh fuck, what are they called? No, what was it? Shit, get back to me.
Okay. Hey, how about Purple Chick? How about the fact that we know that she was obviously involved in things in the past? Why don't we just
keep talking?
Why don't we just get to the actual point? Because
No, we're not doing this.
Okay, so I like the part in the episode where the girl gets Byakugan.
Oh,
No, yeah.
she gets the eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, she gets the eyes.
No, that actually was the best part. Like, oh, she's got some weird power, like her granddad can teleport. What's it gonna be? She can punch people's squids out of them? Sure, I'll go with that.
Yep. I thought that was neat. I'm hoping that they do more with that. It's a kind of a terrifying concept that you could kill people with that. Like that first dude might be dead.
Yeah, you know what I want at this point? I want time to unstop and for us to figure out what the fallout of this situation is, and then figure out how they can manipulate going in and out of stalled time. Like, that seems like the logical next step, and I want to take it because we've been stuck in this moment and I can't get out of it.
Yeah, we are 3 episodes in, and it's I think a day is maybe passed. That's kind of crazy.
Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens. It feels shitty to have these two back to back on the list. That's just how it shook out. But these are the two that are all the stuff's happening, but it feels like nothing's happening.
I like the Revengers. I thought they are the most curious part of this to me. We have the torturer guy who's also a chiropractor. We have the guy who runs it, who's this very nice gay dude. We have this little girl. What's her deal? Their entire idea is that they're hired to get revenge on people. And the one guy shows up, punches Crossdresser, and is like, no, dude, that's it. That's all I'm here for. Later, I'm out.
I do like that each person in that group has a very prominent piece of blue in their outfit.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, that helps me immensely as I'm trying to keep track of who the fuck is who. I would like more little touches like that. Please show. You've got a lot of characters, and you haven't given me much to go on with most of them. Detective Bedhead is a blank. He is an uncharacter.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is or what he wants, nor do I give a shit. He is trying so hard to be Spike Spiegel, and he is failing. Also, you are trying so hard to be Cowboy Bebop, and you are failing. All the stylistic touches. Look at the ending. Look at the opening and ending again.
I guess. I wouldn't have gone Cowboy Bebop.
I don't see how you can avoid it.
I don't know. I with the ending, I don't know. Remember, the stylistic things that Cowboy Bebop did are not just Cowboy Bebop. That's been indicative of a lot of different, you'll find that in plenty of shows about detectives or crime. I don't know. I wouldn't say Cowboy Bebop. But I do have to agree that it's not going. I thought it was a brave move to kill the sister. I thought that was a very brave move on their part. I was like, okay, that you're not dragging that out. That's just in the second episode, she's dead. That sets up for a very good revenge plot line with this character, and that's something I can actually dig on.
I mean, I would dig on having a plot line that I could follow.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I would also dig on an actual plot line because as it has been right now, it's been nothing but a set of circumstances. There's been one overarching thing that is terrible, and I hate it. I hate the mayor's son.
Oh, yeah.
He is the worst character in the entire thing by a billion miles because they want their Joffrey. No, he's like, this character is just there to provoke, and that's terrible.
I don't have anything more to say than I didn't say.
Yeah?
Do you hate him yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you hate him now? Do you hate him now?
long
Do you
and short
hate
was
citrus?
happening.
Because I do.
Anything? You got anything? Okay. So I'm going to bring this up because somebody in the comments section pointed this out to me, so I decided to do my own research on the subject. So you know that scene where she goes to grab her phone in the first episode? That one where she grabs her ass and then slowly feels over it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not in the manga. You know that scene where she pins her to the bed and holds her down and kisses her for like 15 seconds? Yeah, she goes in for a kiss that lasts maybe 4 in the manga. In the anime where she pins her up against the wall, she goes in there and she gets a little bit close, and then she pulls back as soon as the girl asks her to stop. In the manga. Yeah, the anime made this way, way worse. Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, it's uncomfortable, but it's not rapey. It's aggressive, but it's not sexual assault. What the hell? Like, I was flabbergasted when I read the manga and then compared the anime. Whoever this director is a kind of a piece of shit. Because it took a story about a troubled girl who has trouble identifying with other people and other people's emotions, and then cranks it all the way up to a despicable level. Like, I can't believe this. I killed this. Just knowing that the director made these changes was more than enough for me to be like, well, this is dead and awful. And I do not watch this because it is taking this mangaka's, the story's still not great. There's still the story problems, but all the good things about it in the show are there in the manga. And the worst parts about it, the parts that fatally wound it, are not there. It makes me angry because I respect artists' intent, and this shit's all over it. So no, this anime is garbage. And all you manga fans out there who voted for this because they were hoping to see that manga adapted, I don't blame you at all.
That explains so much because I was like, a lot of people, since we were clearly uncomfortable with the subject matter, a lot of people voted it in as a troll pick, as a goof. And yeah, no sympathy for you.
Yeah, no sympathy for you. That was a terrible idea. All you did was give us a show that made us physically uncomfortable, and we had nothing to talk about it.
And took a slot away from things that we might have wound up liking. That said, if so many people seemed like honestly hey, I hope these guys give this a fair chance, he's got these problems, but they might come to if you honestly thought that this is a good story from reading the manga and being a fan of that, hey, we probably still wouldn't have agreed with you. Let's be honest. If it had been a more faithful adaptation, but we could have approached that disagreement from a place of respect.
Yeah. I'm in it. God, when I read that, it made all the other scenes make way more sense. Mm-hmm. Like when she asked, what's your problem, and not, hey, you need to cut this out immediately. Mm-hmm. No, I get it now. I get why she responds the way she does because it's aggressive, but she likes it, and it's not forced on her. It's just God, I don't. I'm just going to get angrier the more I talk about it. This director is an asshole. Fuck him.
So I put this on the list so we wouldn't forget again. Last time we forgot to check in with Cardcaptor until Scott remembered after we were done filming and Kieran had gone home and we were exhausted.
We tried. We
tried.
The segment. We filmed the segment and then realized this is bad. We should not put this out there.
Yeah. But I have down in my little notes here, Scott, why should we give a shit about Cardcaptor Sakura again?
I'm really happy, by the way, that I waited till this third episode. And I'm glad that I had the energy and I was ready to talk about this. So, the first 2 episodes of the show the first 3, if you include the OVA, Futatsu no Kuma, are kind of a bad way to start this show off, if I had to be completely honest with you, because, and I mentioned this on Twitter, and people said, but it's not a remake, it's a continuation, and I disagree. This is a remake of the original Cardcaptor Sakura. I don't care if it takes place after the original story. I don't care if they take the old plot lines and continue them, because what they have essentially done is put Sakura back to 0, which is a terrible move every time, all the time. If you were going to do that, you might as well have had a new character in her place. Because what they did was they took all of her cards away and then introduced new, basically the exact same premise. Hey, there are these cards, there are these monsters, there are these elements that you have to go find a way to defeat and then capture them into the card and then use them in battle later on. Why would you do that again? We already had that show. We had that. And to set her back...
But no, Scott, now it's the Star Killer base. It's not a Death Star.
Man, good comparison. But that still doesn't cover the real redundancy of it, because this isn't Luke Skywalker doing it again. That wasn't Luke Skywalker doing it again. It was Rey. And at least they had some new elements. Here, again, the newest element they had was they changed Sakura and Lee's relationship to they're a couple now. But everything else was the same. But by this 3rd episode, at the very least, we're back to her now using the cards to battle the other elements. And that was always good in the original show. I liked her use of that. I liked the fact that since she's very athletic, she's able to do these things. The costumes, oh my god, her raincoat in this is adorable. The thing she does, when she has to seal the card atop the slide, she tosses her wand up into the air, runs up the slide, grabs it, and it's this cool scene. And it's very well animated. I like it. I like the 3rd episode way better, because if we are going to retread, at least get us back to the good elements of, the actual card capturing using the cards, instead of making cheesecake for a whole episode like they do in the 2nd. Literally, they get the recipe, and then we get 5 minutes of them going over the recipe, making the cheesecake, and then eating the goddamn cheesecake. And a lot of people have told me, but Scott, it's for kids. And I'm like, yeah, it is for kids.
Is it, though? Because who's watching it here in this group? The person who has nostalgia for the original.
For the original, yeah. It's like making another season of Sailor Moon. Do we have to go to...
Yes.
Okay, we'll be right back with Kaiser's Cardcaptor Saga Card Saga Corner in just a minute.
So in answer to my original question, we should not give a shit about Cardcaptor Sakura because it is not for us, it's for you, and only middlingly that.
Yeah, only middlingly that. I honestly don't know who this is for, because if it's not for adults who have already seen all this stuff, and if it's not, and if you're a kid, all this stuff is going to be confusing to you. Like, who's that character? Why does this matter? I mean, then again, it's such a soft continuation. Like, they really do bring everything back to square one. So I guess if you're a kid, they reintroduce this stuff well enough. But I don't know. I
mean, that's speaking as someone who watched the first episode. It is hard to see how this is a good introduction to anyone who's not already invested.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard some people like, yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on or what I should care about any of these characters. And I'm like, yeah, so I don't know. I guess maybe...
Like, I hope it it is a good continuation for those who have nostalgia, but it did nothing for me.
It's kind of not for me because, again, back to square one.
Well,
Wow.
speaking of cheesecake, Hakumei Mikochi has none of that. But what it does have is adorableness.
Yeah. No, it is positively cute.
But so yeah, three-parter this week, and yeah, I think I'm kind of, I don't know. I think I liked part 2 the best. That's the one with the little necromancer, just because that's a cool, weird idea.
Yeah.
And I love how lightly it was treated. Just like there is no hint of menace to any of this. No like, oh, aren't you messing with dark forces? Like, nah, I like taking this dead fish. I like making its bones swim around. That's my deal. You into that? Cool. Let's do it together. Let's be friends.
Can I just point out my favorite part of that whole thing? Oh yeah, I remember. I thought I bit into something weird the other day while eating this fish. Just flashes back. I think I just bit into something hard. Spit it out. I swallowed it. I lost my shit. I was like, God damn it, Hakumei. Is that Mikochi?
No, that's Hakumei.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Hakumei is the Genki one. Mikochi is the responsible one.
Yeah, this show just needs to be itself for me so far. I think it could wear thin, but I like it.
I don't know. I like the fact that it is, because even with that first bit that I wasn't a huge fan of, I still like these characters in this world. I like watching them interact in it, and the more I watch it, the more I like it.
Mm-hmm. This feels like it's the I don't know, it's the easiest thing to watch for me, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think it needs to be very demanding, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, and that's.
Yeah, Scott said, you said that you were worried about them bringing in more supernatural stuff. I don't know. I liked, it seemed like, and I did not go into a wiki dive on this one, but that whole, secondhand goods have is that like an unestablished Japanese folklore thing?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't preclude it from being that.
What I do know is that I believe in Shintoism and just the overall supernatural, superstitious, belief system in Japan in general. So you know of Ghost in the Shell and the concept behind Ghost in the Shell. There are spirits basically in everything. Mm-hmm. That's the idea. And the more you go, that's the idea of the sword that suddenly becomes dangerous because it's killed too much. Mm-hmm. With an item that's used consistently, there's a bond between the person that who uses that thing, and so it gets a spirit of its own. It has a purpose. That's why I don't know if necessarily secondhand goods having their own spirit. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much that plays into Japanese folklore, but yeah, definitely the idea of them having spirits in the first place is very Japanese.
Like there's funerals were held for the robot dog toys. Like they think that there's something lost there when they stop working. So I think I don't know if is in the same words that they use in this show, but that idea is there. Yeah.
Yeah. I always wanted a show about a character who interacts with objects. Like he basically just goes around and basically interacts with these objects and learns more about the history of them and their world. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't I enjoyed that, and I didn't find it any more or less magical than the fact that there's talking dogs and frogs and badgers and stuff in this world. It's just the rules under which their little world operates.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I enjoyed that as far as it went. There was a bit of a thematic through line between all three here. The first part was ended with the second-hand spirits, yada, yada, yada. The second part was all about bringing back dead things. The third one, between the first and third especially, because the third one's all about hey, here's the grinder that my mom left me, and this one's older, it doesn't work quite as well, but I love it because my mom gave it to me.
And not to mention, everyone notices gives a different taste to the coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yep, which as a big old coffee snob, can confirm. Getting your grounds uniform makes a big difference for how the water pulls the flavor out of it, how well it gets through the filtration system. I I loved seeing the specific way that they make their coffee, because I was roasting my own beans for a while. I got real into that shit for a bit. And yeah, if you want to get deep down into the science of it, yeah, there is a reason for that.
I can't remember the last time I wanted a cup of coffee more than after that episode, man. I love how she just was the bean, crack.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's such a good. It's also, man. I just want episodes about how the machinery and all their stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love them carving these tuna, like just these like or small fish that are still way bigger than them and cutting them open. And I love this stuff. I love it. It's good.
Yeah, all the little details, like yeah, of course they. A coffee bean is like this big to them, so they're not pouring their beans plural into the grinder. They're cracking the bean singular into smaller shards that can then go into the grinder. Little stuff like that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I also love, you don't consider us customers? When's the last time you paid for your alcohol? Thank you, ma'am. Also interesting, she says masta.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like master of the house or something, because it's always translated as ma'am. I don't know.
Killing bites.
He.
You can kill what bites you. Everything has sharp fangs.
Yep.
It's all about who has the sharpest fangs, who wins.
That's what Killing Bites is.
Yup.
Okay, yeah, can we... Look,
Yeah.
I understand that this was a week-to-week manga, so the repetition was part of the whole, like, building the brand. Oh my god, if I have to hear that again, I'm gonna fucking turn into an animal myself and destroy my TV, because that is probably my least favorite part about the show. I don't need to hear that a billion times. Stop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, man, this is some good popcorn. I don't even know, like, if there's much to talk about.
The panty shots do get a little excessive.
Yeah.
That's not really doing much for me.
Again, part of being garbage is that
Yeah.
you play all your cards. But at the very least, while they're visually objectifying, they're not doing too much to take away agency from the characters. So I'll allow it on the grounds of you're obviously cheesecake. That's fine. You're violent action show. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is not the place to have morals for this show.
It really is not.
And the show doesn't give a shit.
I am kind of curious why the cheetah girl wanted her panties. Maybe she's just a pervy lesbian cheetah. Who knows?
Yeah. That I was more okay with, because they transitioned that into some actually good physical comedy of her running around with no pants on, and the fact that when transformed, her tail raises the back of her skirt up. Like that got some decent laughs out of me, whereas most of the other stuff like that is just boilerplate ass. He accidentally grabbed her breast. He's looking up her skirt and he didn't mean to, but he's a pervert.
Yeah, and you see bargain bin Vegeta eyeing her ass with a telescope or whatever the fuck he's got at the end of the episode. I'm like, okay, good, that's fine.
Also, I like the fact that I cannot tell you what any of these animals are by looking at the people.
Yeah.
And that's actually good, because now I'm kind of like, I'm curious, because I'm like, okay, what the fuck are you? I want to know what this guy is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I've actively tried to ignore the opening because the opening spoils a couple of the characters. I don't want these spoiled. I want to know what they turn into as I watch, because that's kind of the exciting part. It's like, oh shit, what animal is she going to fuck up this week?
It's like Transformers. It feels like Beast Wars sometimes. I'm like, what are you going to turn into?
Yeah.
I can't escape it, if only because it reminds me a lot of Bloody Roar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's hard to escape it. I dig on that, though. I would not be surprised if they were a bit inspired by Hudson here.
Yeah. You know what? The Transformers thing is a good comparison, because this is something that you brought up as a criticism against Juni Taisen. This looks like a bunch of cool character designs that somebody made up in middle school.
Oh, yeah.
Like this, you could say the exact
Absolutely.
same thing about this. This feels like something that was made to sell toys, but in the best way.
Yeah, and it's because it's not trying to be heady or tell some stupid ass thing and think it's really smart. No, it doesn't.
It's already getting a video game.
Good. That's fine.
Probably be bad. I don't care.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably gonna be bad, but that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know that there's much more to say about this. Just
Just keep being yourself, Killing Bites.
I really love the action scenes in this.
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
fun.
they're not too elaborate, but what they do with the environment, like, because when she uses the lamppost, I was like, I felt the weight there. That is one thing action shows so often don't do: use their environments correctly and show proper weight. Whoever's working on this show is great at doing that, and I'm really impressed.
I'm happy that we're seeing the presumably like director's cut version.
Yeah, me
right?
too.
Yeah, like I'm because this really gains a lot by letting all that just kind of flop out. It really does.
I won't lie to you. The fact this show needs to be unabashed. If
totally.
if anything is held back, I feel like that's neutering what this animal is supposed to be.
Agreed.
yeah, I'm curious how that pants off chase scene, how that played out in the non-director's cut. If there was just like a mosaic over it, or like I don't know how you do that scene.
Well, we only see her ass. They show off ass all the time. That probably wasn't actually. That largely was probably unchanged. The one thing I do know that they almost certainly changed was the nipples.
Yeah.
Those were. I don't know if they just did what the manga did and had little hearts there instead, or if they just did what. Oh my God, anime does way too much nowadays and
The
just had a
black
glare.
shit.
Or a glare over it.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might have even just gone out of their way and did like Rosario X Vampire and just had actual little faces there. Like sometimes they're like, you know what we're doing? We're just going to say it. Like we're.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the worst offender there is JoJo's. God, the fact that it's like
He's
just
smoking, but you can't see anything.
Yeah, no, that's the
He would
worst.
never smoke.
All this violence is happening, but for some reason, it's just a dark shadow over all the violence. I don't know. But yeah, no, Killing Bites, continuing to be exactly what I wanted to be.
Yep.
Let's hope it continues to be that next week.
It's sad, but I look forward to Killing Bites more than just about anything else on this list.
I feel you, man. Totally.
Pop Team Epic, Killing Bites, and now Universe. Oh,
Yeah.
and Magus
Yeah.
Bride. I still love my Magus Bride.
Same.
Yeah, although that's been on a downswing, and I hope it comes back.
Me too.
But you know what I don't look forward to? But I'm curious to hear whatever your crazy theory
yeah.
is,
Okay.
Darling in the FranXX.
Oh yeah.
So should I just hop right into it?
Just do it.
Okay, so I did not get a good sense of how the piloting worked in the first episode. Things went by so fast, it was difficult to really pin it down. And you could tell that in that first episode, the major thing that they wanted to do was introduce the concept characters action scene. Hey, let's just jump right into it, right into the pond, without giving a lot of details and kind of just being a little, like, we've used this term a lot, boilerplate. It just felt really generic. Second episode, we get introduced to more of the characters. We have this like Pidge from Voltron, Legendary Defender looking little bastard, being the tiniest bully you've ever met. And a lot of so the characters here, we're still kind of getting introduced to them little by little. They have very down-to-earth personalities generally. Like the guy with glasses and the blonde hair is, he seems just like a regular old guy.
Hey, do you get that the fat one is the fat one?
Okay,
do,
yeah.
Do you get that?
Okay,
he's always eating every time he's on screen because he's the fat one. Do you get that he's the fat one yet? Do you that he's the fat one yet?
Dude, Trigger does this, and it's actually very mean-spirited. Look, I'm actually that guy. I was 340 pounds. But even I personally agree that if you're that heavy and it's because you're eating too much, it's unhealthy and it's probably going to lead to a worse overall life. Take care of yourselves, folks. It's important. But there's no reason to make all these jokes about it. It's really uncomfortable. And
it's not a joke. That's the thing. Jokes have a punchline and a payoff. This is just a thing that he does.
Yeah, and guess what? The fat chick from Little Witch Academia did the exact same thing. And it was never funny, and she was never a character. And it was like, this isn't funny. It's not a funny joke. It's not even a joke, as you said. It's just the character trait is that he's fat and he eats. That's bad. Trigger, that's a bad. Just stop. But anyway, the overall characterization of these characters is minimal as of yet. But mostly that wouldn't necessarily be a problem if the overall story were a little more engaging. That's one of the issues here, is that we've seen a lot of the story before. It's, a bunch of kids have to pilot mechs against an opponent, and they take whole hog from every mecha that's come before it. Like, hard. The only difference is that the mech have, like, these kind of kawaii-ass faces.
I like the faces. Like, they look like Mega Man characters.
Yeah. Actually, the mecha design, I'm kind of about. It's a little bit generic in certain places, but the overall design concept works. The fact that they have high heels I was like, why? What is with the high heels? Why would you do that? But, I mean, if you're going for style, fine. It doesn't all have to be practical, and I'm not going to get too bitchy about it. Then we get to the hip controls. And so, yeah, very automatically you get like, okay, it's sex. It's all sex. And moreover, they're bad at sex. Like, everyone here is bad at it. And interestingly, this one girl comes out and is like, no, you're going to be my partner. We're going to do it together. And he can't get it up. Mm-hmm. He gets the concept. He knows, like, I've done this before and I can do it here. And nope, he's not into this Ichigo chick. He's into this crazy shit. He's into this real strange.
He wants to stick it in the crazy.
Yeah, he wants to stick it in crazy. And the sexual innuendo here is thick, because the entire concept here is, again, piloting mecha equals sex, and they make every innuendo you can possibly make about it. But there was something else that I had to think about here, because Trigger's always done this social commentary with their works. Kill la Kill was about sexual liberation and about not letting other people judge you on the things you either wear or don't wear. And that was interesting, because it wasn't about it wasn't the clothes make you. It's you choose your own style. It's a silly concept that was just there to make action scenes. But then they did Little Witch Academia. Little Witch Academia is all commentary on 2D animation. The entire idea of magic and its decrease in society is, 2D animation's kind of losing its way. And we have less and less animators and less people who are into this as the years go by. And they even introduced the concept of technology as an analog for 3D animation. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a big part of the story. It didn't work very well, but that's what it was. Not to me, anyway. It probably worked better to other people. I've heard people who have loved all of Little Witch Academia, and I've found other people who thought the second half was not as good as the first. I'm that guy. This, if I'm correct, is a commentary on the current status of men and women in Japan and relationships. Because as it is right now, there's a decreasing birth rate. Because men more and more are focused on their jobs and starting, like getting careers started than they are on dating, which is actually kind of weird, because the entire point of getting jobs is to support a family. We're seeing less focus on dating and more focus on schoolwork, on jobs, and status. Here we have these kids that are told, all right, now you've got to pair up together and go out there into the world and contribute. And we see this one main character who's disconnected from this. He wants to be a pilot. He wants to do all of this, but it's not working out. Then what happens? This totally fucking anime chick shows up. This completely different, unrealistic girl shows up. And he's way into her. Man, he gets all into piloting with her. But she's not real. She's not a real thing, is she? She's completely outside of all these other characters. She's unobtainable. I think part of the commentary here is that this girl is the anime girl that all these kids are getting into because they don't have time for actual relationships and they're losing touch with real, actual human contact.
I will be interested to see in future viewings if it supports that reading.
Yeah.
I think the problem there is that she's not unobtainable. She's physically there, and they fought off a dinosaur together.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. But the metaphor wouldn't work if you went too by the books to it. There's got to, like, you have to properly address a metaphor, you have to introduce it as, yeah, look, they work together. Aren't they great? Like, they should totally pair up together. If they make it that, oh, yeah, no, she's totally the guy that he needs to end up, she's totally the girl that he needs to end up with, then either I was wrong about the assumption of that, and instead it's, oh, no, like, you just need to actually have a personality, because let's be fair, a lot of these girls are kind of blank right now.
Well, that's a lot of these characters because they're bad at making characters, I guess.
They might be. It might just be that they're bad at making characters. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. I'm curious, because the way this pans out from here is, I 100% believe, personally, my own theory is that these this current synopsis, this current setup, this theme is supposed to mirror that of current relationships in Japan and the increasing separation of men and women due to society, especially given that there is a term in Japan called the cannibal woman. The carnivorous woman, not cannibal, the carnivorous woman, in that she is the aggressor. Mm-hmm. She goes out and she finds the man, and she begins the sexual
Initiates.
Yeah, initiates in the way that traditionally men were supposed to. If that's what they're going for with what's her face, which very well possible. Like, I think that's another angle to go with her, but we'll have to see. I'm very curious. That's why when I watched it, suddenly a lot of things in my mind kind of started to click a little bit, and now I'm really curious. I don't think it's going to be like, and that curiosity is carrying me into the next episode. That's carrying me to wonder what are they going to do, and are they going to elaborate on this? If they don't, and it's literally at face value, no, okay, then this is all dumb bullshit. And it got some clever jokes. It got some clever or cute or at least giggle worthy jokes in there for me.
It did.
Okay, if you disagree with me, that's fine. But
I'm trying to think of anything that it did that got a chuckle out of me.
I'm sorry. I thought I personally kind of thought the whole scene with them trying to, because of how brazen it was. Like, I wasn't expecting the show to be as brazen with the innuendo as it got. That caught me off guard, and that made me kind of laugh, because I'm like, they're really going the whole 9 miles with this. Because there's a part of me that kind of respects the fact that, nope, they're not the pretense is being pushed to its very limit here.
See, I know my first instinct is always to compare it to Gurren Lagann.
I mean, they don't hold off on making those visual comparisons. So,
but here's the thing, like, Gurren Lagann traded in a lot of that same, like, hey, by the way, manly combining, gay sex. How do you feel about that? We're going to combine some robots in a way that makes it look like a dick. Drills or dicks everywhere. Like, it was not subtle. But that's the thing. None of it was subtle. Its characters were not subtle. Its characters were out there, front and center from episode 1, making me give a shit. These characters are just attention sinks. I don't give a shit about any of them, and I think that's where it falls apart. Seeing Simone and Kamina fumble around, try and figure out how combining mechas work, that was fun, that was dynamic, I was interested. I don't care about any of these characters, so I don't give a shit about seeing them fumble around with this obvious sex metaphor.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you feeling,
I think
Kieran?
your reading's really interesting. Like, I can totally see that. I heard a lot of people also mention that just they see it analogous to failed relationships in general. Mm-hmm. I think that's, and I think the Japanese reading is probably a bit more accurate, because Trigger does like to do that. They like to talk about things that are usually current or something that they feel is personal, like thing going on right now. But yeah, I do agree with Ben that it's just the characters don't even give any semblance of a shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's interesting. Like, I love seeing more dynamic subtext and stuff, and I can absolutely see that there. But if the subtext is under this bleach-coated pizza, I'm not eating it.
and that's why I'm glad that I get to give it another episode.
Yeah.
Because these first 2 episodes are introducing a lot of things, but they're not elaborating on almost any of them.
Yeah.
So
Which I could I feel like a lot of the payoff you will see from that is going to be in the 3-act structure that they usually go by. You're going to see the dip around episode 8 or 10, and then I'm assuming this is going to be 24 episodes, 26 or whatever, because that's usually what they do.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see once we hit around episode 15 or so, we're going to have a big turnaround, and either he's going to be with this girl or he's not going to be with her, and then that's where we're going to see if that really pays off. So it's tough to gauge where that is right now, but I think it's interesting, more interesting than anything on the face value.
yeah, and that's why it's I'm really glad that. God, I don't want to come off like bragging. I'm glad I have this insight. I'm glad, because a lot of things when we talk about anime, there's a lot of culture we miss. Mm-hmm. There's no getting around it. So a lot of the times we have to relate it to things that we're familiar with, things that are culturally relevant to us. Mm-hmm. So when I see something like this, it's way more interesting to me because that's something I'm a little more culturally aware of because I've taken the time to actually check that shit out. And again, I'm not trying to come off as bragging I took the time, I know
don't
better.
Think you are at all.
Yeah, no, I think you've just given me even if it turns out that this came directly out of your own ass, it is still watching this with that in mind, trying to figure out okay, does this actually support that reading or doesn't it? That is way more interesting to me than anything the show at its face value has given me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Look, without that theory, after that second episode, I probably would have killed it today.
Yep. And speaking of killing it, we will talk more about it after we snap the snapboard. And we're back.
Yo.
The other point of comparison that I'd bring up for this show is Soul Eater.
I can see that.
Because, you got your male-female pairs, high school-aged kids, trying to figure out relationships and partnerships and viewing that through the metaphor of these supernatural powers. But that sort of did it, whatever else you want to say about that show, and it had its problems, it kind of did it well from the other angle where instead of being insane and over the top and bombastic, it was sort of that part of it. There were parts of it that were overplayed, that were crazy and wacky, but that part of it was kind of understated and sort of sweet. Seeing Soul and Maka sort of figure each other out in this way that, yeah, it had this sexual undercurrent, but it was always subtext. It was never no, let's bend Maka over so that Soul can stick his scythe in her.
Yeah.
And I like that approach a lot better. Yeah, you can have your big crazy action scene, but at the end of the day, it comes back to this sort of nice, sort of sweet, hey, let me try and figure out how this other person feels about things and see if we can work together. And again, the common thread between that and Gurren Lagann is that the characters were first. Let's meet these characters. Let's spend the first few episodes focusing on each one of these male-female pairs instead of, I don't know, fuck you, plantations, devil girl, whatever.
Yeah.
Shotgun blast to the
No,
face. Here's a bunch of characters.
I agree. If I could say anything about this, that it is legitimately failing at is making better characters. Look, Horn Girl, as a character all by herself, is the most interesting thing. Does that make her good? Not particularly, not now. But she is the one who is she's got a distinct out there personality and she's pushing things and she's going in there and shaking things up. You also have, again, the world's tiniest bully who is hilarious, and only that it's are you serious, kid? Really? He's trying to be the manliest one. He's compensating so hard.
Yeah, that character could work if he was a small part of a larger ensemble that was also working. As for Devil Girl, I've seen Fooly Cooly. I've seen a bunch of these shows where this crazy out there magical girlfriend shows up out of nowhere and shakes up. She's the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Nope. She's not doing anything that hasn't been already done by 1,000 Manic Pixie Dream Girls before her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Manic Pixie Dream Girl, the show, Pop Team Epic. I don't know. I hate to jump in and be the one criticizing this, but yeah, this episode did a lot less for me.
I gotta agree. I think this was the weakest of the first three.
It was the weakest overall, although I think it actually got some of the biggest laughs out of me. I can't remember the exact joke that. Oh no, I remember the one. It was the one where she was looking for a job, something to do, and then she gives her the sets down the money, and then she opens it up and she's like, "Yay!" And then later, "I've got it for you." Slams down the list. What? Do it. What is this? And it's like, "What is this?" Do it. Huh? Do it. I broke. I was like, just because of the delivery there from me. I cannot remember the names. Blue hair girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PPB?
PPB. Yeah.
Answer.
Yeah. That was super good to me. The timing, the delivery, it was all very good. That and in 30 minutes you will. What was it?
Your life ends in
30 minutes.
Yeah. See, that bit with the briefcase, I had the opposite reaction because as soon as that briefcase shows up, I predicted the way the rest of that joke was going to go. And then it went exactly the way that I thought. So I was not surprised or delighted by it, especially coming so soon. I think that was the next bit right after the guy trying to sell her the car. And she's like, "Oh, I'll use this for murder," which was the exact same joke, repeated twice. The first time, it got a chuckle out of me. The second time when he's talking about at first he says, "This paint job, it's bright red. Oh, good, it will hide the blood." Like, okay, that got a chuckle. And then it's a hybrid. And I'm sitting there basically saying alongside her, "Oh, good, I can kill silently." Like, no, this sort of humor dies the second it's predictable. It lives and dies on its ability to surprise, and it surprised me a lot less this time. That's a death knell.
The thing, and I'll actually agree with the car one. The other two actually kind of subverted that because I knew what the joke was going to be, but somehow it still made it funny to me because of the timing and delivery. I knew what it was coming, but somehow, I don't know, the delivery to it was what actually sold it. I wasn't expecting it to be as well done as it was for me. So I'll give it the car one, though. Yeah, car one maybe worked well as a one-off comic. Here, as a part of a joke, I like the same joke from the other two. Yeah, no.
In the first episode, they had a bit, because at that point, they'd already, the central, if there is a central conceit here, is that here are these cute-looking little girls, but they're also grotesque and rude and whatever. They're, playing against the expectation of sweet, innocent little schoolgirls. In the first episode, they had just barely done that much when they flipped it on its head again, and there's the sketch where the blue-haired girl says, "I am God. You can ask me anything you want. How much do you love me?" "A whole lot." End of bit. And that did it. That surprised me because already I'm expecting, how are they going to be disrespectful about God? Oh, no, they weren't. They were just overly sweet and cutesy with it. That surprised me. This didn't do that third turn.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was just, look at these cuties being raunchy.
I definitely felt like the Pop Idol segment was good only the first time through, and even then, it didn't, the last bit was not far enough for me. It decided that it was going to go off the rails, and I'm like, oh, cool, just clone
army.
Yeah, clone army. But then at the end, I'm like, I feel like they could have gone farther. Yeah. Although seeing Peepee sitting there in fucking
M.
Bison's outfit.
I thought it was a Dune Megalopolis reference.
Could have been.
Well, no, that was definitely in Bison's outfit.
Well, yeah, that was also.
That's
it's because it's a Thai military uniform. That's why they look fucking identical.
And the background that they were using in that scene is the exact background for the end of Akira. So I don't know. That's all I was trying to figure out. And then they play some song. I'm like, what the fuck is this song? I assume this is a joke.
The song's again from that documentary series.
Oh, so that the song they play at the end. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, that's they kept true. That's why when you were unsure if it was a mockumentary, no, it definitely is. Like gotcha. they use music from a pop idol documentary.
Okay.
But yeah, then that whole segment only really works if you're like really 100% if you're Japanese. If you're not, then you'll either not get any of the ideas or you're gonna get some of them. Like I didn't get all of them. It's not culturally relevant to me. I don't care about idols. But
Yeah, but I mean that said, I know what an idol is. I know that it's I can get that initial reversal of, oh, she's an idol, but she smokes cigars. And you know, again, it's those rapid fire reversals that makes it work. First it's an idol, but she smokes cigarettes. Then it's, oh, tells her to put the cigarette away, and she does, but then pulls out a cigar. Oh, you expect her to be chastised for that, but instead she's supportive. Like, you got to keep those coming fast and furious, or you've lost me.
Yeah.
I did like when she's like, lighter! And they both bring out the lighter. It's like a Yakuza boss.
Yeah, I think this episode in particular gained a lot from me for just having Nakao and Wakamoto in it. Like, just they're great together, and I hope we get more goofy anime, like classic anime villain voices, like because they're not hiding it at all. It's just their Frieza and Cell voices. I loved it.
And the last episode, the episode before this, was Toshio Furukawa and Shigeru Chiba, aka Piccolo and Raditz.
Yeah.
Like, we're just getting these classic veterans of the industry. And we recognize them as those characters, but they've been a billion other things.
Yeah.
Like, none of those roles are even any of their biggest roles, except for maybe Frieza. That might actually be Ryusei Nakao's biggest
I think
character.
that's his biggest.
Although Ryusei Nakao is among a billion other huge roles. Like, did you know he's the voice of John Garfunkel from Garfunkel?
Arbuckle?
Arbuckle, yeah.
Of Garfield fame?
Yeah, of
Yes.
Garfield, yeah.
Yes, of Arbuckle and Oates.
Yeah.
Simon and Garbuckle.
Yeah.
There it is. Hall and Oates? God damn it.
Yeah.
I
Hall
fucked
and
it up. Fucked it all up. Burn it down. We're done.
I just want to know the guy in Japan who's watching Pop Team Epic and says, that's John Arbuckle's voice. Holy crap.
I think I can't remember who it was, but I think the guy that voiced PvP in the first episode is also Nick Cage's dubbed voice in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was him. I can't remember.
The dub just dropped, by the way. I know. As soon as we're
the dub
done.
casting is maybe the most interesting thing to me. Like, I can't wait to see what they do.
I'm very curious. But yeah, no, I'm not afraid. I'm not. Even if it does, here's the thing, even if it does not continue to be as good, I got a completely original experience with this. Something I don't think I would have ever been able to get from, something I never expected.
Yeah.
I'm glad it exists. I just don't know whether I'm going to continue to enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, it could be by the end of the season we've fallen out of it and it doesn't matter to us anymore. Much like most of the programming on Adult Swim. It started off like, this is funny, okay, this is the same joke, and now they're just really trying to shock us into watching, and okay, I'm done. Like, I wouldn't wish Aqua Teen Hunger Force weren't a thing. I stopped watching because it lost its edge with me, but...
I could wish it had stopped a few seasons before it did.
Yeah.
Like, as sad as I am that C-Lab didn't last longer, and, you know, R.I.P. Harry Gause, obviously, I'm sort of glad C-Lab didn't last longer, because you could already see the cracks even before they lost Gause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, that, you know... And that gave us Archer in the long run, so hey.
Tune in next week where we'll talk about Archer, probably.
Maybe.
And also all kinds of other stuff. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
Thanks, folks. You have a good one.
See ya.